Hi, Henk Akkermans here. Supply Network Dynamics Chapter 3. Bounded Rationality Part 1 Introduction. This course consists of 13 chapters. Chapters 4 to 12 concern specific cases. And the first 3 chapters are basically everything you need to know to properly handle those cases. So chapter 1 has been about, well, you could say supply networks, chapter 2 about system dynamics, chapter 3 is about decision making. And the main purpose of this entire chapter is to explain why it is so difficult for managers, entrepreneurs, consumers, but mostly managers in our case, to make good decisions. We talk about human limitations to effective decision making in dynamic environments. The structure of this chapter is as follows. This is the core problem. There is a manager who really thinks that this is clearly a he, is doing the right thing, is getting rid of this annoying gigantic domino brick next to him, but is unaware of the fact that over time, with a delay and from an unexpected direction, he will be hit severely on the head. Rather painfully, I assume. And this happens so many times, and in fact every case that we look at has some of this behavior inherent to it. And why is that? Are people stupid? No, they're not stupid, we'll see, but they have certain filters that they have to live with. So one thing we should say in the beginning is that life has become more complex. And then we look at filters in rationality. Economics assumes full rationality, but in fact rationality is severely bounded. One particular type of filter that we have between an optimal decision and decision we usually take is cognition. There are quite dealing with dynamic systems is difficult for us. We have difficulty dealing with accumulations, with delays, with feedback loops, and we'll look at that. There are also limitations of a behavioral nature. The psychologists Kahneman and Tversky are extensively cited in this part. And they got a Nobel Prize a couple of decades back for their work in economics. And other type of limitations is organizational in nature. So the cognitive filters we always have. We always find it difficult. The behavioral limitations depend on what kind of setting we are in. To what extent we have been primed or framed to take a certain type of decision. Organizational limitations are yet another type of filter. Here we may well know what the problem is and we may be rightly framed, but we will be crazy if we want to have a nice career, if we would actually take the right decision there. Strategic limitations are beyond that. Here the organization isn't the problem, actually to the best of our intentions, we will take a certain course of action, but actually it's a trap. It's a decision trap, and will get us, it's counterproductive, and we don't notice it. And I present 3 different types of traps there. And last, quite independent of all this, the way that we operationalize decision making in the remainder of this course is a system dynamics way of doing it. And Jay Forrester, the man who invented system dynamics back in the late 1950s, actually wrote up pretty clearly how he felt that should be done. And it's helpful that you see what he wrote explicitly back in what I have been doing implicitly in the models that you see from here on. And that's this chapter, actually.